What up, bro?
What's up, man?
Just another bro study talk. What's up, beautiful people? It's myself, Mike James, and Brandon again, and we got another exciting bro study. As always, just a reminder of why we started doing this, man. We just wanted to give a safe space, safe place, and area for people to not only learn some stuff from just two young black men who are ever changing, constantly on this journey, which that's for everybody, but to just, glean some light from our experiences, but as well to give people an opportunity to talk to somebody. Because one thing too is in this space or this day and time, you need to feel like you're not alone, because as anybody can attest for, when you go on a journey of self-discovery, consciousness, awareness, awakening, spiritual enhancement, uplifting, anything, sometimes it can feel lonely, especially if it's stuff that you have not been privy to in your life, or something that goes against the grain of what you've always been taught. um so so that's why we do this, man. And we just want to continue, and also just giving a perspective of young black men talking about some things like this, to where we're not just always talking about sports or entertainment, man. We're talking about some really good issues, man, that can give you a lot of a lot of addition to your life, man. So Brandon, this is a good one today, man. What we talking about today, as I rub my hands together?
Brainwashing,
Mm. Y'all hear
or
that, people?
we can call it the program.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, brainwashing, the program. Yeah, I love that. And so, you know how I like to do it, man. I like to go with that. Hey, what are we talking about? Let's give a definition. And I like to go to definition that you could just Google, and then maybe we give our perspective on that as well. But if you look up brainwashing, I'm gonna do a couple definitions. If you look it up, just Google the definition: the process of pressuring someone into adopting radically different beliefs by using systematic and often forcible means. Whew,
Mm.
that's a good one. That's the first one you find on Google, by the way, bro. And I was like, man, that's good. But then I scrolled down a little bit, and it says, what does it mean to brainwash someone? This is the one that got, I was like, oh my God. So definition of brainwashing: one, a forcible, and bro, man, look, let me get back to the camera. This one right here got me, because this is my word, man. I use this word so much. It's so funny, man. I did a podcast, that podcast a couple of weeks ago, and then I just had an opportunity to Zoom conference call with a woman who's doing some amazing stuff, man, on the internet and with her Patreon and a lot of stuff. And guess where she's at, man? Guess where she at, bro?
What about?
Cali.
Yeah.
She's in San Diego. I'm like, man. And look, and let me hurry up and sum all this up. I like to talk. I come up with this thing, man. I was telling Felicia, I said, I've come up with this thing, this coin, this term, regional relativity.
Mm.
Because I believe you relate to things regionally, whereas it's easy for you to go against the grain and to think outside of the box in like a Cali, in certain cities and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But back at home in the Southeast, man, you're going against the grain, especially with religion. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Right.
where you gonna go? Where's the safe space? Where's that you got to find those coffee shops, and you got to almost be like in Atlanta and stuff like that. So I was
Right.
talking to her, and that's one word I've been using a lot. So check this definition out: a
Uh-huh.
forcible indoctrination to induce someone to give up basic political, social, or religious beliefs and attitudes, and to accept contrasting regimented ideas.
Mm.
Two, persuasion by propaganda or salesmanship. Woo!
Wow.
And that's just simply, again, this is something I started doing probably when I started blogging, and the first time around when I was doing like my little Mike James the moderator. I used to have a little page for public speaking that never really jumped off, but certain people close to me would support or whatever. But that's something that I would do more often. I would say, okay, let me go look at the definition of these words, or what am I talking about? So then I'll give my definition, because that's the first part. I think a lot of times in conversation, people will say words and they'll talk about stuff that they don't even know the basis of what it means. You hear a word and you gather from your life what you think brainwashing is or whatever. But I'm like, okay, start here. Do like you're in school. Look it up.
Well, they already been programmed to have a belief or have a definition, so they don't need to go in their head. They think they need to go and look that up.
Yeah. So that's why I love this one. This is a good one, man. I can't wait till we're recording this, by the way. I can't wait till we share this one and just watch and get some feedback, man. And definitely going to be on my YouTube, and I'll send you the link as well, bro. But yeah, this is a good one, man, because like you said, man, that brainwashing, man. Whoo. Yeah. So how you want to start, man, into this deep topic?
Right. Man, let's. I would like to discover where this started.
Right.
And maybe we won't even get to go that far back, because I don't know the origin of it.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, because we can go really deep with it, but we'll start off light. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news lately, but there's been a lot of fear-based news that's been posted, shared a lot.
Yeah.
And what was that last definition you read?
The last one.
Uh-huh.
The last one was the very last was persuasion by propaganda or salesmanship. Yeah.
That's why the topic came up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right, just like you said. And Brandon, that's a good segue to kind of give a little background on how we Brandon and I, we come up with the topic of what we're going to speak about for the bro studies, just like anybody would say a podcast or anything like that, or even a minister or speaker. It's if it's not a topic suggested to us, which we do have a suggested topic that we're going to cover next, but it's like it's by going with that gut, what's relevant at the time, and something that kind of just sits with us or resonates with us. So when Brandon told me about this topic, I'm like, man, because just like he's talking about right now, we've seen that so heavy here in the last few weeks, and it's so huge. So that's kind of how we come up with that, with what we're going to talk about. So people are wondering, like, how do y'all come up with topics? It's one of those things where you get inspired to do something, like any artist or anything like that. You're inspired to do a painting because you visited this museum or you did something. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in there, man, because yeah, like you said, it's that part, man, propaganda, and what we're seeing always being put in front of us.
Right. And what does that, how much influence does that have over us? Because we're connected to symbols. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a part of that program. It's like the computer is mimicked off of the human brain. So the way you send codes into that system for it to upload images and systems, it's the same way with us. You know what I mean? So we have our own system of programs, but one thing that we haven't collectively talked about is the fact that our program at some point in time either got deleted and reloaded, or it's just been forgotten about, because part of the program is language. So language is a set of symbols and codes that you put together to formulate thoughts and ideas about who and what you are and what your surroundings are. The fact that we don't speak any of our native tongues is a clear indication right there that the program has been deleted and we've been given a new program.
Mm-hmm.
And if we've been given a new program, who gave us this program, and are they for us or are they not for us?
Right.
So, I mean, let's do the math.
Right. Exactly. Proof's in the pudding.
In a 2-day span, I've seen massive shared posts about an innocent black man being lynched, a pastor telling thousands of people that sage is witchcraft,
Oh.
and a deadly disease that's killing thousands of people.
Hmm. Yeah.
At the same time, there's an election going on. What program would we like to call that? Or influence, what we like to call that? You give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Jumping back kind of to the definition, right? Another
Mhm.
word that sticked out in that last definition I was talking about with brainwashing was persuasion by propaganda or salesmanship. So you said one of those key words where same thing. Here it is, people. It's just breadcrumbs, right? It's just doing research that we have access to, simple, from our phone or computer. So, bro, you said when you talk about propaganda, definition: information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. So check this out. The second definition that you find on Google: a committee of cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church responsible for foreign missions, founded in 1622 by Pope Gregory. So just that alone, again, man, if you would just look up definitions of some stuff. So propaganda with that politicizing things. I saw a post on, I think it was Instagram maybe, where they talked about so many different viruses and things like that that happens in sync with every election year, every
Mm,
major election year, and the hysteria that's caused. I shared another post that I saw from Dr. Drew. I don't know if you saw this, bro. That's very interesting, man. He had to check. He was pretty much checking the media for the hysteria and the misinformation or lack of information, really, on coronavirus. So he was, he was on a panel. It was two white women, a black man, and he was saying how, and I'm paraphrasing. I shared it on the Combos app. I don't know if I shared it on Instagram, but it's really good, man. He was saying that he thinks the media has done a horrible job at talking about this thing, and it's not saying not to be concerned, but it's not as big as what they're making it look. He said you're much more likely to die from influenza right now than you are coronavirus. And so the lady sitting close to him, well, if you think about it, it has now passed SARS and blah 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 blah. He said, yeah, but the percentage is way lower. So, and the other lady on the far end says, so what can we do? First of all, he's like, shut up. Stop speaking on things that you don't know enough about to be talking about. Because if you what they're not showing too, and this was something Felicia and I talked about, what they're not showing also is the massive number of people who have recovered from this coronavirus and the things that are going on. So here's the thing I think about that when you're talking about propaganda and the information spreading at a time like now. Based off of how political candidates respond to these things, it can give them leverage in this campaign season. And so we're looking at a place where it's a pivotal time, whether you support the president or not. It's a pivotal time that we need change. It doesn't take even a smart person to realize that that we need change. But based off of how everything is going, he can say the right thing or do the right thing or one thing that could alter how this political season will play out in just 2020 between now and November. So I think it's a matter too of what we talked about before in a previous bro study is it's important for people to gather their information and think for themselves, man. And that's part of
Mhm.
that thing where you're removing the cloak of this brainwashing, man. Like, what's your opinion? Well, they
But
said, you know.
that's the thing though, is everybody, the masses are not going to think for themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
they need someone to tell them what to do, i.e., they need a programmer.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do down here, so I'm gonna give that power over to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so, what they say about, politics is the power is with the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Problem is the people don't know that. So the person who know that saying, okay, well then I need to influence them to use their power for my benefit without them knowing it because they wouldn't make their own decision otherwise. So let's play the game.
Yeah.
Let's do some programming. Let's let's convince you of some ideas and some thoughts and some fears that help me, you know, with my agenda.
Right.
Uh, yeah, man, it's something that's been going on for a long time now. Uh, and the crazy part is how to let somebody know that for them to be able to accept that, because that's a hard thing to accept. Even even though you can look around outside, or like right now, I have my laptop in front of me. It's a few years old. Eventually, I'm not gonna be able to use it no more because it's gonna be outdated, and I'm gonna have to upgrade it. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing with us, man. Like you have all this information, but every few years you gotta evaluate it and update it because some of it might be outdated. You gotta throw it out. Otherwise, you're gonna be perpetuating things that do not serve you.
Yeah.
Um, and somebody or something is feeding off of that energy because it's usually based in uh, blindness and fear.
Oh, yeah. That's big. And that's I think that I think that's a catalyst to not only strengthen, but perpetuating and continue brainwashing, propaganda, indoctrination. That word right there, man, fear, is so huge, man, because it's so again, man, it's so crazy when you have these conversations how similar they can be, even if you're talking about a different topic. And like I said, with that Zoom call that I had this past week, man, it was awesome. I think it was probably about an hour, 15 minutes, but we were talking about these same things. And it's amazing. Someone from a totally different background, we were talking about these same things, and fear is the underlying theme behind so much of it. Because if you don't know, it goes back to what you just said. If I don't know what to do, or I'm not going to seek it out, I need someone to tell me now. I need someone to give me a program. Well, I think we talked about it last time, right? The first thing you walk in church, they give you a program. You walk into an event space, anything like that. A lot of times, unless it's very fluid, you walk into a speaking engagement or networking event, you get a program. So it's one of those things where it's just so second nature. I need someone to tell me what it is that I need to do while I'm here. And so
Right,
that's in life. Like, what do I need to do? Who do I need to vote for? What do I need to agree with? What do I need to disagree with? What do I need to be upset about or emotional about? So yeah, that fear thing, man, is huge, man. Like tackling that right there. And I think one way to begin to break those walls down with that fear, to inform yourself,
hmm
to educate yourself. You got to actually look at, like I was talking about with this, while we're recording this video, and I just easily go to another tab and look at my definitions that I saved. It's just looking something up that just takes a moment
you got
to do.
you got Google now.
Huh?
We got Google, man. You can
Right.
Google anything.
You can even talk. You don't even have to type. You just pick up your
Right,
phone and you talk. You say
right,
Siri or Google, and it's boom, what you need. You got a system that's gonna talk back to you.
right. Yeah, man. I know it's Sunday, so I guess I'm gonna go there a little bit, but I listened to the sermon from that pastor. Won't have to say his name, don't matter. Um, but he was
So
having a
again, say you again, like you said, we don't have to say his name. But uh, give a little background on that so people will know, because we've seen it, but people
So,
watching like, what you talking about?
so what you hear in religion, and I've been to church a couple times over the past few years, and the the amount of fear that comes out of that place is astounding.
Hmm.
Um, and this is and it's hard to talk about because I know it's not intentional. But when you're unaware of yourself, you can't see that you have a program going on, and this program is based in fear.
Hmm.
So, met a church pastor in Atlanta. He wanted to preach to his people about sage because he said there's this new age movement. I don't know how sage can become new age. It's been around way longer than religion. So,
Right.
if it's new to you, that means you've been brainwashed because
Man.
it's been old for a long time.
Right.
So, yeah, this new age movement where people are self-deifying themselves and they don't want to submit to authority. Does that sound like freedom or fear to you?
Mm. Sound like all fear to me.
Even the Bible says ye are gods, but if somebody were to say that out loud, you're like, no, you can't deify yourself. You got to fall under submission
Mm-hmm.
to who?
Right. And let me tell you
So,
how. Let me tell you how. I just want to put this in there. Let me tell you how strong fear works. When we share this out, there will be
mhm,
people watching when you ask that very question to who that gets this bubbly feeling in them, this heat sensation like, oh my God, Brandon, don't say that. You know what I mean? That's how
right.
strong it is. Because guess what? Some years back, I was that person.
Hmm.
You hear anything outside of what you don't know, that fear, right? False evidence appearing real, or what you don't have information on, and you get scared all of a sudden. And it's so funny you said that because I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it's somebody who follows me or not, and I'm okay with it because I'm not going to call his or her name. But there was a great or a good a friend or associate. I can't remember, but it was someone who they they kind of walked away from religion based off of information that they learned that they had never heard and different stuff like that. And I think the understanding was that they rebuked themselves because it fell under that word you said, new age religion or belief. And what they're saying, the
What in the
church,
world is that?
right, the church has made this new term called new age and new age doctrine. That's the word. New age doctrine, new age religion, new age belief, where they're saying you're putting yourself higher than God. And so again, come back around, circle, and they found another way to instill that fear to keep you where you are.
Because God is the programmer, bro. Is he not? Let
Yeah.
where my Bible at? Hold on.
Yeah, and while Brandon's getting the word, I just want to tell people it's like one of those things. It's like you this is what we were talking about too on that call I did this week, is the fact that if you would just read and apply the things that's in there, you would act differently, you would live differently, you would move differently.
You got to be able to follow the story. Either you're going to be caught up in the program, or either you're going to be the programmee, or you're going to be the programmer. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Or I like to even say either you're going to be the programmer or the programmed.
Right. Either way. Yep. I'm with it. Because it's so many times in the Bible where, and especially in this Old Testament, where God is hindering people from becoming great. And I've never seen a parent, well, I see it all the time actually, but how does that look when a parent is always telling his or her child, submit to me, I know better than you, listen to whatever I say, and you can never be anything on your own without me?
Mm.
That's not giving your child no type of power.
Right.
because this child came into this world on their own. They are a product of mom and dad, so they are the embodiment of these two coming together. But there's three because this new person is still his own very new individual. And so true love is saying, I'm going to allow you to become who it is you're meant to be because you're just as powerful, if not more powerful than I am, because you are in the future. I'm the past. I'm
Mm-hmm.
passing away. You the new thing. So go be great. Let me give you that space to go and do your thing. But the way this comes off, the way we've been taught or programmed is now you got to be a stay at home child.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go outside by yourself, you might get hurt. You need to come back inside. You can't be great. I gave you a pineal gland, but I don't want you to open it. What the point? What's the point?
Right. And dude, it's like, I think I mentioned it on here. I know I did in the podcast I was interviewed on, but I think I told you about it too. We maybe talked about it in a bro study, but now I finally got the name. But that documentary I saw where the guy was being interviewed and he said the first way a devil gets to a child is through the mouths of his parents. And I'm, whoa.
The
Because
parents,
it's all of the stuff that you can't do, you won't do, or it's all the punishment, all the fear. That's where it begins to happen.
your
And like
mom
you
and
say, a lot of
daddy are
times innocently.
your mom and daddy your first programmers.
Yep. Yep.
And if they haven't dealt with their trauma in their life and gotten over it, they're gonna program that same stuff that they got,
Mm-hmm.
that same outdated, stagnant information. They're gonna pass it right to the child.
Yeah. And by the way, before you go into your scriptures and we get the word on this beautiful Sunday, I just want to say the name of that documentary, by the way. I want you to check it out too, or for people who have Prime Video. It's Escape from Candyland. That's the name of
Mhm.
the documentary, Escape from Candyland, on
Okay.
Prime Video. So it's really good, and I will say like the production quality of it is kind of, it would be like me and you going out with our cell phones or something like that and just recording, doing this thing put together. But the information in there is awesome. So yeah, that's the documentary. But yeah.
Nice. Nice. Um, so in Genesis, right, the first instance of trying to hold me back from being great, don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
And later on in the story, you say, in all things, get knowledge. but the but the tree that provides it, you want me to stay away from it. You want me to stay away from the thing to decipher what's good and what's not good for me. You
let
want,
me
huh?
let me ask you a question, bro. And
Mhm.
let's go back to that first instant, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because like as a being made in your image, wouldn't you want me to have the knowledge of good and evil? Because that I don't have to fear evil if I know it and I know to how to deal with it. Anyway, a question I want to pose to you. I want to pose it to you because I don't have to get in trouble by answering it.
Ah,
But what's your answer to the people who say, I'll ask it, I'll be the people. The Bible, the Bible has no contradictions. It's inerrant, it's infallible. There's no contradictions in the word of God. Do you agree?
that's a belief. I mean,
And I ask that because here,
let's do this. Let's do this.
because you're in Genesis, right? And
Mhm.
already right there, it's like, okay, do not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And then it's, gain
This
knowledge.
first thing I would say is find me this scripture in your native tongue, and then get back to me.
Mm,
Tell me what that says,
wow.
because we can go back and look at history, look at language, look at where these languages come from, and then we look at the 400 years of slavery and war, and see that the same countries that had these same languages are the same ones that oppress the same people.
Mm,
So am I gonna trust the words coming from somebody who murdered me, or am I gonna trust the words from my people? But I don't even know where my people come from.
Right.
So why am I so confident to validate what somebody else said about my own story? That is giving away your power to somebody else, which is you are the program. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
else program you with their story, their history, his story.
Right.
But the mystery is your story. So you need to go discover the mystery, the stuff that you don't know right now. But let's look at that word contradiction. What is that? Hmm. It's a combination of statements, ideas, or features of a situation that are opposed to one.
Mm.
A person, thing, or situation in which inconsistent elements are present. And I see one more definition that says the statement of a position opposite to one already made. So that's, you want to start at page 1 or you want to go?
Right. Right. And that's what I'm talking about right there. I think that's how you study. That's how you better yourself. That's how you grow. Looking up the definition. So do you think so and so is what is blank? Look up what blank means, right? Well, I think okay, inerrant, infallible, all these words that we just throw out because we heard someone else say it. Go look it up and see what resonates with you. And once you break down the definition, you say, wait, that doesn't align with what I see and what I'm reading. And that's how you do it. Just look, people.
That,
Let
but
me
that,
look in the
that's why
camera.
that's, that's why that's so important what you're saying with definitions, because the program, like I said, with the computers, what are you sending to it? Zeros and ones. That's code.
Mm-hmm.
That's information. And so definition is more information. So you already have preconceived beliefs. That's your program. What you're saying is go look up more definitions to challenge that old information to see which one stays and which one is faulty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And that's the thing, man. There's a guy I follow on social media. I haven't seen anything from him in a while. I don't know if it's algorithm or if he's been removed, but I won't say his name. But anyway, he would give stories and different things like that, and he would just his I think his starting or end would be look it up. Like that, like look it up. And look, let me look in the camera. If you want to know about something or what you don't understand or what you mean, look it up. Look at the definitions of all the words that are pivotal to a statement. So if I
you,
were to say that,
you talking about oh, I know you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, initials YK, that's what I'm talking about.
I think on it. I
Yeah.
think on
But anyway, here's the thing. If I were to say that I am a strong, competent, I'm a strong, competent, uh, forgiving man. In order for me to agree with that statement, or someone who even knows me to agree with that statement, I need to look up those words. Strong, competent, forgiving. What does it mean? Because that's when I can say, okay, yeah, that aligns with what I see from this person. But if not, then how can you make an informed opinion or decision on something when you don't have the information? So that's the thing, man. It's like, man, look it up. Just do
it.
some research. Look up the definitions of these words.
Yeah. And it's a challenge too, because it feels like I don't need to look anything else up because I got all I need. It works for me,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. And I accept you in that place. Uh, it's just interesting when somebody tries to convince you of something that they haven't studied and they have such a strong opinion on it. That's a clear sign that, oh, you're just going off of old information.
Mm. Yeah.
Because A, you're trying to convince me of it, which means you haven't fully convinced yourself. Uh, and B, you're not open to even receiving anything else. So, man, it's that now it makes sense when I see a lot of these shows about the Walking Dead, because and even looking in this Bible where it talks about, these sleepwalkers and
Mm-hmm.
dead, but they really asleep. Uh, but then, man, it's a cookbook, bro. It's a science book, this Bible. I don't know why we're still
Alchemy.
on the yeah, but we're not using it that way.
Yeah,
So you
no.
got programmed to look at it on a very surface level to be in fear. That fear, man, is that fear to where you think, oh, if I go in, I don't know, if I grab a crystal, then I'm gonna channel into some demonic power that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
take over. But then again, we go with definitions. Let's look up the word demon. The origin of that word means genius.
Yeah. And
And
you know, it always makes me think of the scripture, you know, in Corinthians is, you know, what is that? Let me see. I think it's 13 and 11. First Corinthians. When I was a child, spake as a child, understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And so it's one of those things I say, and this came to me in church, man. Still, it's like, wait a minute. If I'm hearing the same scriptures, the same sermons, the same understandings, and my life is going in the same wheels and experiences, then am I truly applying this word? You know, because wisdom is applied knowledge. So am I truly applying what I'm hearing, or I'm just going along, you know, going along to get along, or doing it out of practice and tradition and not actually to grow? And so it's like one of those things, like, when are you going to grow beyond what you're just reading or hearing every Sunday, every Wednesday? And again, I'm not for no reason not speaking. There are many people that are in church and they're applying what they're doing and they're actually making a change, you know, inside out as well. But for the most part, there are a lot of sheeple. Just a lot of sheeple. And here, so this, I knew this would come up sooner or later because I have certain books that are my favorites, man. And we're talking about brainwashing. So I was thinking about different books and I was like, okay, I was thinking, what books have kind of hint on brainwashing or whatever? And one I came up with the most is one I've shared before, from the Browder File. 22 essays on the African American experience by Anthony T. Browder, or Tony Browder. And the introduction is by Dr. Asa G. Hilliard. But this page in particular, and it's on the chapter titled "Free Your Mind." But I just want to read this real quick, man, because it kind of sums up what we're talking about a lot with brainwashing and indoctrination. It said, we have all been victims of a gross miseducation which has produced various levels of mental slavery. Through the efforts of men such as Dr. Hilliard and Dr. Van Sertima, we now have an opportunity to free our minds and enjoy a new sense of self-awareness and growth. We all must do our part to try to set the record straight. We must begin to use our homes, churches, and schools as environments to cultivate this new ideology of cultural democracy. We are currently standing on the threshold of an important time in history. We are witnessing a changing of the guard at the repository of truth. If we are lucky, maybe our children will inherit a world where the history of mankind will be accurately told and society will be better for it. And it's like, we don't think about even the responsibility we have to start to tear down the layers of the programming that we receive all of our lives, because we think it's just one of those things. Well, and here's what we hear, right? I'm sure you've heard this. Well, on Judgment Day, you're gonna have to answer for that. And what if you're wrong? I'd rather, do what I'm doing, make sure I'm covered, make sure my name is in the book, and it's one of those things where it's, again, goes back to fear. Oh, I fear a reward or punishment.
check this out. When I ask you this, just give me the first answer that comes to your head. I just want
Okay,
to see.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
Okay, getting caught up in the rapture. What does that mean?
God coming back for his saints.
Okay, is this a pleasant or unpleasant experience? The rapture.
Okay, so I got two conflicting thoughts came in at the same time, so I'm gonna give both.
Okay.
Two conflicting points. Two came in at the same time, and I can't deny where my mind is now because the first answer I gave you is the first thing comes to mind based off of 30 years of living a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, when you ask that second part, the pleasant or unpleasant experience, two thoughts came in. So I'll give you both. The first thought was pleasant for the chosen ones, for his saints. Second thought that came in was one maybe that has been developed more so in the last 10 years when I think about it more and more and more, is very unpleasant for
Mm.
all those. What's that movie that scared the hell out of us when we were little? Left Behind. So very unpleasant because as it is taught to us, you're talking about people in their cars and maybe the driver is gone and now somebody else is in the car. So if you think about that final destination type analogy or story, man, do you realize the chaos that's going to be, the mass murder and suicide and friction that's going to cause in the blink of an eye? Because that's how it's going to happen, right? In the blink of an eye. You know, the dead in Christ shall rise first, and then all those that remain will be caught up to meet him in the middle of the air. So
Right.
all those left behind for that tribulation period, man, it's going to be
Mm.
some, whose hand is on the trigger of that nuke or that missile when they're in this plane or whatever. Oh, my bad. That doesn't even matter because it's only, the rapture is only for Christians. So I'll forget about the rest.
Ah. uh. So, do you know what the definition of rapture is?
uh no, I've it's been a while since I looked it up. I'm gonna look it up while you even tell me.
It's an intense feeling of bliss.
Pleasure or joy. Wow. Wow.
But if you didn't take the time to go look that word up for yourself, then it would be this reckoning day that we all
Mm,
should fear of, which lets you know, oh damn, program. I've been accepting something that I haven't even studied for myself, and I've been perpetuating something that is completely opposite to my reality.
right.
Uh, I got the word, I got the Bible verse for today though. I got it. I found it.
You know what though? That's crazy, man. You said that because you know it's another one of the things I'll admit to you I didn't even think about. Like I'm sure I've looked it up before, especially in the last 5 years. But man, rapture, it's pleasure or joy, an intense feeling of pleasure or joy. Anita Baker was trying to tell us. She's trying to
Mm,
tell us, man. Caught up in the
mm,
rapture of love. She was trying to tell us, man, ain't rapture your anyway. That's thought that came to mind when you said that. It's like, wow. Because you know what? Me being the Pentecostal, saved, sanctified little southern boy that I was,
ah,
even thinking about that song, I was like, rapture of love. What what the rapture got to do with like love or love making? Like, wow. Okay.
mm,
I appreciate you for making me think, bro.
mhm.
Scripture
Uh,
of the day.
Euphoria is a feeling or state of intense excitement and happiness. That's what the rapture
Mm,
is.
right.
That's why a lot of people are addicted to opioids and lean and other drugs and sugar because it takes you into that intense state of bliss temporarily, but there's
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice that comes with it. Um, but there are other ways to get that bliss without having to harm yourself. So what happens when you take certain drugs? It has an effect on your pineal gland, has an effect on your brain, your mental. And so getting caught up in the rapture of God or the rapture of love, it's having an effect on your mental and raising your consciousness and your awareness, your emotional state, because hate, fear, anger, sadness, depression are low vibrating frequencies, right?
Mm, yeah.
As you raise your frequency up, you get caught up from the lower level of the chakras to the higher level. Now you're in a state of bliss and awareness. Now you got caught up in the rapture. And the way to get that to that place is finding unconditional love. Because as you're rising up the spine, all you're doing is removing all of that stagnant energy, which is fear, old information, uh, stagnant, stuck, disease, stress, all of that. And you're replacing that with refreshing water in the form of love and positivity, affirmation, all of that good stuff.
As you're moving up
So
the spine at 33,
you're
33,
climbing
33
Jacob's ladder.
years, Jacob's ladder, Kundalini.
Yeah. Didn't Jacob get then his name? Then he called that mountain he was on Pioneer,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where he saw God face to face.
But here we go again, back to that big 4-letter word we talked about, fear. Because it seems like, oh my God, it's the, we got to stay away from, which is, again, going back to that pastor, which is why that pastor can say something in confidence and in ignorance, think that he's coming from a place of love, but not realizing that it's a place of ignorance. It's fear, right? Because it seems to, oh, you know, this is how, growing up, man, this is how I thought of stuff like that I didn't know that. Oh, like you say voodoo.
Right.
Look, I'm closing the laptop down. Look, I'm done.
Right.
Bye. You know? So it's one of those things because you don't know it. And even now, I can see adults, grown adults, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, you can say certain stuff and you see the shift into that fear or that, let's be real, slave mentality to where it's like, nope, can't do it. Can't touch that. You know, it's like, nope, not going there. Not even giving it any of my time because it's wrong and I'll bust hell wide open.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Fear, man. And maybe we're just going through the cycle of time to where that's the whole journey of life right now, is to find our way out of fear into love, which is basically finding ourselves and letting that old self go. Because out of fear creates that um, Satan character or the devil, who is the slanderer or the accuser. But we've been given that power to this outside source, but it's an inside source. So you get influenced by your outside environment, and then you decipher that information and attach an emotional response to it, or thoughts or ideas get attached to that, and they could become slanderous or accusatory toward your true self. So you become your own devil by thinking things that go against your own self, by saying you're not worthy. Nobody else is telling you that.
right.
There's no spooky character out like, oh, let me go tell you how unworthy you are. Bring people to your life to do it. No, you're powerful.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Your audio muted. Okay, there we go. Your audio
Some
muted for a second.
somebody was calling in.
Oh, okay, I got you. So you got to rewind a little bit because the sermon was getting good. I was like, man, it was the minute you raised your shoulders. It was like, oh, I lost him.
What was I saying? Take me back to the last. What was the last thing you heard?
So you were talking about that kind of shift and how things happen.
Damn, I just had a complete brain part just now. What was that?
Because you're talking about that, you get that the enemy inside. It's not some outside
Oh,
force. It's
right.
you
Thank you.
telling.
Dang, I don't know what happened just now.
Glitch
Everything
in the
just went
system.
away.
A glitch in the system. It's the matrix, man.
Right.
Look, the connection got somebody's playing with the
Right.
connection.
Now we back. Now we back online. But yeah, man. So those ideas then becomes that accuser, i.e. the ego. So the ego is a form
Man,
also.
God, I'm sorry. That just, man, that took me there to a book I'm reading right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Pessimist's Guide to Manifestation. And that's what they talk about. They don't in that book, they don't talk about evil, they talk about the ego. Because you hear so often people say, God told me, I know it was God, I know it's God. How often do you hear people say, the devil told me to, the devil came to
Right.
me in a drink, the devil.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, when you said ego, I was like, oh yes.
Yeah. So that devil is that, accuser, but I don't, fully attach that to the ego, because the ego, I feel like it's just a part of yourself that you can't get rid of,
Yeah,
and
true, true.
it wants to survive, it wants to live, it wants to exist. If you look up the word ego, the origin of that word means uh, I exist. So the fact that we think we exist and we believe that in itself is the ego.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to give us ideas to believe certain things to carry out, you know, existence. So, but it doesn't decipher between good and bad. It only goes off of like how you feel. So if for so long, somebody's been slapping me in the face and I hated it, and it made me cry, it made me feel like I was getting picked on or bullied, but I never addressed that. Now my ego has protected me and given me a form of protection with becoming defensive. But now I carry that same attitude when I go and interact with other people. And so if they do something that reminds me of that experience before, my ego says, "Oh, I got to protect you, so let's become defensive," which is
Yeah,
not love, because now you blocked yourself from being able to express, and now you are blocking yourself. It's just
right.
like having a flowing river and then putting a wall up.
Mm-hmm.
Something's gonna happen when that wall gets built. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, that flow is not able to happen. So you have these two parts of the psyche. One is saying, I want to be the old way always. So if it works yesterday, let's make it work forever. But the whole point is to always break that cycle, because you always have to, bro, you look out in nature, it shows you that a snake always sheds skin.
Mm-hmm.
A tree will always decompose and rebirth as a new one, because what comes out of this existence or this love, this fruit, eventually it has to evolve into something else or a
Right.
new thing. But the ego is like, nah, I don't want to grow into something else, because then I have to be sacrificed, because you're gonna shed this old skin. I'm the old skin that don't want to be sacrificed. You know what I mean?
And that's that strongest gravitational pull, right? Because that's where the comfort zone is. The
Right.
like you said, what I know, the keep going in that direction. Because here we go, that unknown over here. That's a
The
fearful thing.
mystery. We're afraid of the
Yes,
mystery.
exactly. The unknown mysteries, that dark space. I
And
don't.
we're and we're
I'm afraid
addicted.
of the dark.
We're addicted to the history.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
story, and I'm afraid of my story. Damn,
right.
there it is.
Man,
I mean, what y'all doing?
another thing you said, man, that jumped out to me when you went into talking about the ego was cycles, right? And this is something that comes back to me often, and sometimes I don't put it together enough to explain how significant it is. But I tell people in my journey, I guess, well, this last little bit of my journey, the last 5 years, two things, man, that just resonated with me so much, was two things from an album. The first one was Dead Prez. Um, they're on their album. They got a song called "No Way Is the Way" on what album was I can't remember the album name, but "No Way Is the Way," "No Way as the Way." Man, is so amazing because it's pretty much looking at, giving kind of like a nod to all religions, not just one, but where you can learn from anybody. And it's not one of these things where you have to be in this box or confinement of things. So that stood out to me. But going back to the cycles, the other thing, man, that keeps coming back to me is Logic. Logic's Everybody album. He
Mm,
has skits on there,
mm.
where it's Neil deGrasse Tyson playing God, because he has that voice, and Lil Rel is playing the role of the character in there that had a car accident, right? And he dies. So there's a skit, and I encourage everybody to just go and listen to it. Pull it up on YouTube, listen to it, or your streaming device. Listen to it and see what you get out of that. Man, it stuck with me so much, and I listen to it every now and then. There's a skit called Waiting Room. I think it's probably a little over 4 minutes long, and it's Neil deGrasse Tyson talking to, or Lil Rel asking Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's God, all these questions about the waiting room and what does this all mean. And he's pretty much explaining to him that there are you're going through cycles. And the way he broke it down was, you are going to live the life of every single person on this earth. And the first thing
Mm,
he told him was, the last time we had this conversation, it was Mandarin, and you were this. And he
mm,
explained to him in that skit how he's been a slave master and enslaved. He was explaining to him how he's been all these things, and Little Real, like his character's like, his mind is blown. And I'm like, wow, the way he broke that down though, it was one of those things where it was almost more to me than a documentary or reading a book, to where it's like, see, I always question this whole death being finite thing.
right.
But I heard that the first time, I think at the same time maybe where the God series was coming on with Morgan Freeman, and seeing different religious background beliefs and how they see things. But yeah, man, it's important to know, man, that there are cycles to things and cycles to life, to how we even evolve in our mind and how we think about stuff. And it's one of those things where you realize, because of that, there are certain people that never will get it, not in
Hmm.
this life. They may have gotten it in the last life, or they may get it in the next one.
Right.
But it's like, we're always at that. And I think this is a issue sometimes with us, no matter where we are on the spectrum of belief, spiritual, mental, social, physical, financial. We sometimes desire for people to think as we do, or because they don't think as we do, we feel that something's wrong, or they're not an understanding person. And I think that's important to know that, man, everybody ain't got to be on your level.
Right. That's the whole point, man. How else would you learn if everybody was on the same level all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this reality, it's polarity, man. So you got high, low, you got good, bad, you got, you know, light, dark. You got all of that so that you can find your balance within yourself. How would you know what love is if you never experienced fear or seen it?
Yeah. And that
Um,
that that polarity you talk about, and you think about that, light and dark, good and bad, uh, up and down. We're talking about the same thing that has a sliding scale. Because if we think about uh, beautiful and ugly, or let's think about just even the word beautiful, from B to L, that's a long way, but it's the same word. It's somewhere in that spectrum. Are you at U? Are you at F? So I don't know if that's even a good example, but everything's on the sliding scale. What is the exact point where you go from dark to light, or light to dark, good to bad? And you go over to the other side of that. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about politics, they say moderately conservative, moderate liberal, progressive liberal. It's like all these things. It's the same thing. You just
right.
have a scale of where you are.
And that attachment, because you find your place on that scale and you get stuck right to it, like, oh, this is me. I'm just staying right here. And that that's again where that fear comes in then, because it's hard to accept something that's outside of what makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, you see that a lot in relationships, where you get into a relationship with somebody, and the only way for you to fully fall in love or give them all of you, they have to be they have to reach your expectations. They have to be what you want in this relationship, versus like, oh, I have feelings for you, so let me open myself up to receiving who you are, even if it's different than what I'm used to.
Hmm.
We have a hard time doing that because we don't trust ourselves enough to be able to find pleasure in that, because we only know pleasure and comfortability based on what we've experienced prior to. So again, being afraid to go into that mystery and learning something new. It's like, I guess it's like jumping in the deep end of the pool for the first time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, yeah, where's the bottom?
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, man.
But if you know how to swim, then you got nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So again, like it goes back to this whole topic, just brainwashing. So I guess, so what we talked about it, but what would you say would be a big step to I guess reverse or erase or come out of a lot of brainwashing?
I mean, the first thing is you gotta realize that it happened. Second thing is
Yeah.
the second thing is to just unlearn, unprogram.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, what I did over the past few years, that everything I know or I thought I knew, I just treat myself as if, let me go back and fact check it again. Whether it feels good or not, let me be open enough to see if this is really real, or can I evolve this into something else?
Right.
No more. Well, it's been this way in my family for generations, so I'm just gonna keep it like this.
Yeah, yeah. Or even this, as much as this may hurt a lot of people to say and think and acknowledge, but even this, no more, my mom said this, dad said this, Pastor so and so said this, evangelist so and so said this, Mrs. Mr., teachers said this. Why? And here's my thing. I think my whole nutshell of the steps would be always ask and answer the question why. Like,
Mhm.
ask yourself and answer it for yourself, the question as to why. This is how it is. Why? Okay, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Why? Okay, once I touch that stove, there's going to be a reaction that takes place. It's going to burn my hand. That's going to hurt. That's going to give me some trauma. It's going to be a healing process. Okay, now I know why I'm not going to touch the stove. But all these things based off of just what it says in a textbook, what it says in a Bible, what it says in a book written by someone else. Why are you taking that as the end all be all without asking yourself why and
and
answering it?
find and find that answer for yourself, because
Yes.
everybody got a different experience, different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So if I believe something or if I know something, if it's only because somebody else told me, then it's not true.
Yeah.
It's only real when I know it for myself, or I've accepted to just believe it because I don't know, but this is what I believe so far because I have done my own seeking and finding. And I'm
Yeah.
not basing it off of what somebody else said because I don't know where they got this information from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's no
Yeah.
no shade to them, because I'm sure everybody has good intentions. But what I've learned in therapy is that your intentions do not always match your actions.
Right.
A lot of times your actions are contrary to your intentions.
Yeah.
So your intentions might be to like educate me and love me and embrace me, but your actions are doing the opposite because you're misinformed on how to properly do that. And so
So for
instead of
someone who wouldn't understand that, right? A great example for that, because I like to, make sure people understand certain things. So, because somebody may question, they may watch this and question, well, how are your intentions not, align with your actions? Because even if your actions is otherwise, you know what you intended to do, so that's not your fault. It's the person receiving. No, here we go. Perfect example. Uh, Brandon, I don't mean to sound negative, but I don't like your hat. You
okay,
hear stuff like that, right? And it's like, well, my action. No, I even said I wasn't trying to be. What? Wait, what? But you did. So that's a small example of that. We hear that, right? I don't mean to be racist, or I don't mean to be rude, or I don't mean to be impolite. Well, you are about to do the very thing that you don't,
right,
you ain't
right.
trying to do. So just stop right there. When I hear somebody say that, I don't mean to be. I say, hold on, stop before you go on, you can, but I want you to stop. Think about what you're going to do and why you're saying you don't mean to be. Because there's something in your mind where you believe that it is the very thing you're trying not to be.
Mhm.
So
And also too though, I would say sometimes, I believe it. Like you really don't want to sound that way, but this is the only way you know how to articulate yourself. And that's a part of that acceptance. So we're like, dang, you might just be really ignorant right now.
yeah, that's
But
true.
let me still listen to you and then inform you
Right.
of your
There's an
ignorance.
opportunity. There's an opportunity.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, go ahead with your finish up on my bad. I feel like I cut you off.
No, no, no. Actually, I think I probably jumped in. But anyway, I was just talking about, what I think is important, just that why. And if I'll add anything else, it's what my shirt says. Spread it. Spread some pages of a book, man.
Right.
Read a book. Read, read,
Read
read,
a book.
read. And here's the thing. I will put a little, I guess, a little asterisk to that. And, I would kind of put documentaries or a video in that category. And the reason why I say that is because I tell people all the time, until about 4 years ago, I did not read a book. I didn't read books. And now
Mm,
I'm telling all the mentees I work with and the young people and people in general and clients, read a book, read. It's awesome. It takes you to worlds and all this stuff. But again, I'll tell them, I know I didn't read, but when I started, I realized, whoa, I could have been so far forward in my journey if I did. Because YouTube was my thing, man. I would go down a YouTube rabbit hole and watch different things, not just one area what I was looking for, but whether it was music,
yeah,
speeches,
same.
documentaries, talking.
I
I
feel
could
like
do
I'm doing
that.
that right now.
Yeah, I could do that all day. So that's why I said I would put that into that kind of category as well. But it's still nothing like when you get a book and you open those pages and you just get lost in it, and you get all this stuff. And there's times, I don't know how people, there's different type of readers, but when I'm reading, the words almost like jump off the page at me, like an illustration, so to speak. And so it's
Hmm.
like I get all this stuff from it. I know The Alchemist, man, when I read that, it took me so long because I would read something and it's just like see what resonates with me, and I would put it down, walk away from it, come back to it. As well as that other book I mentioned in this earlier that I've been reading. Been reading that since, man, I've been reading it since last, maybe somewhere in October, November, maybe so. Not super long, but it's not a hard read. It's just so much information though. So yeah,
Nice.
man. Yeah, unlearn that was what you said too is huge. Unlearn and relearn.
Unlearn and relearn. Um, Because food for thought, real quick. If you look at, you are the temple of God. Where did that idea come from? If you go and look at artifacts in the ancient world in Egypt, they had a lot of temples, but these temples were physical, large physical representations of the human body. So that was literal because
Mm-hmm.
they were creating these structures in a way that took in certain sunlight at certain times of the day, sound waves and frequencies, and it manipulated the different areas of this temple, which is a
Mm-hmm.
reflection of this is your body. So the way you see this building operate in nature as the sun rotates, it's the same thing with you. Um, but we've looked at that at a more, I guess, super spiritual level to where we're not even connected to it as this is like uh I am an embodiment of this energy.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to definitions, the origin of God is energy.
Right.
So but God created everything, right? So that means good and evil came out of God, which means good and evil comes out of you based on where your mind is or your
Right.
emotional
And
state.
man, look, that one right there, man. Woo, that might be a whole nother topic, but the idea and the belief that people will have that you're either operating, first of all, there are over 4,000 religions out there in the world, which there may be maybe probably close to a couple thousand that is under the umbrella of the Roman Catholic Church or Christianity. But the belief that one would have it that nothing good comes from anything outside of their belief. And also this thing of you're either operating letting God use you or the devil or all these things or people that think differently than you. Oh, that's because you ain't letting God use you. You letting the devil use you. Oh, you've been hurt. You've been this. It's energy, people. And again, we talked about it before. It's polarity, right? You're on a spectrum. And my whole argument to that is always a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. If you're calling someone evil, if you're calling someone good, check their fruit.
And look, both of those things you just said still sounds like fear, because either I'm being controlled by one thing or I'm being controlled by another thing.
A man cannot serve
Either
two
way,
masters.
right.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
end of the day,
It's
I'm
fear.
being controlled. So then
Mm-hmm.
where does me come in into that picture?
Right. Yeah.
I'm just a puppet waiting to be programmed. Dang.
Wow. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, yeah, man. That's the thing. So, kind of in summation, man. Just with brainwashing, man. I want everybody to just think about if you think, or if you, well, no, it's not really a question. I was gonna say if you think you've been a victim of brainwashing, because we all are every day, right? But
I,
to
how about
question,
we leave? Oh,
go
my
ahead.
bad. Keep.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, how about we leave him with a Bible verse?
Man, yes. Let me do this before you leave, because we're gonna do the benediction at the Bible verse. Look, you know what? I know somebody. I don't know how much of my family watches. I know a few family members that told me they watch our bro studies and sometimes attend as well, or watch them when we share. But I was like, man, let me stop laughing and joking around so much. I hear like the old elders in my church growing up. You better stop playing with God, boy. Some
Right, right,
people to sit down.
right,
So I still hear that in the back of my fear, right? So it's like, look, when I say this, and so let me stop playing around, because so many things tickle me now that I look back at it. But I'm gonna stop doing it because I don't want it to seem disrespectful to someone that may be still operating in that vein. So, but I'll just say this: for I want people to really think about ways that they can undo, to unwind, and to unlearn. The best word for it, ways they've been brainwashed, indoctrinated, and programmed, and see what it is that you can do to actually help not only yourself, but you have a responsibility. Here's the thing, real quick, we're talking about seasons, right? We're in this big political climate season right now, right? Political season. So it's one of those things I hear so much, and I don't agree with it exactly how it's said, but you hear this so many times. You got to vote because your ancestors died, so you can vote. And I just don't agree with the way it's said. However, I think about it like this: it's so many things that your ancestors have fought and died for. So to put it all on one thing,
right.
is a disservice. So I think we have a responsibility, ability to respond, to actually unlearn and relearn, to see all those things, to think about the things that those who came before us would have told us if only they were privy to the information, or if they knew more, or if they can learn more, or have what we have.
There was a time where they didn't fight to vote and they were in slavery. And there was a time where they didn't fight to vote before slavery even started. So let's go back to what they originally fought for and died for. How about that?
Mm, yeah,
Because after 200 years of war and you lose, and then your children get programmed to only believe in a certain way of living and beliefs, then yeah, you're going to fight for what seems to be the best solution, even though it has nothing to do with bringing you out of this, you know, toxic environment that you're in. So
right.
you got to go back as far back as you
Yeah.
can. Hmm.
And it's just like, my history doesn't start with slavery. My history doesn't start with voting.
Right.
Don't end there either, So yeah, so go ahead, man. Yeah, I yield the floor to the Reverend Good Doctor.
So we're gonna go to Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 through 11, and it reads: "Go to the ant, you sluggard, Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler. Yet it stores its provisions in summer and gather its food at harvest. Meaning it knows how to keep up with the seasons and the system on its own.
Mm,
Nobody's telling it what to do. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep?
mm.
A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man.
Wow.
So, what
Mm.
does that say?
Whatever pastor told me and say. No,
Ah,
but no, man, I've heard that preached so many times growing up, and I just hear certain preachers in the past say, "How long? How long?" And
right.
that right there. But again, it's someone, people, church folks will come at you in a minute and say you're taking something out of context and you're doing. It's like, what does it say? What does the word actually say? Like,
Mhm.
wow, that first part, man, has no commander, no ruler, but still knows what to, and wake up from your, oh man, woo, proverb, man, that is, I ain't got nothing to add, man. What? Let me find me a virtual offering plate. We need to pass around the plate. Oh, we got. Hey, we got to take up a offering for our guest pastor today, bringing the good word. Hey, man, yeah, that was good. I ain't got nothing to add to that. Woo.
There it is right there. We'll let them sit on that until we
Yeah,
come back next week.
definitely. And as always, y'all, we thank you for supporting and just, hanging out with us when we do the videos, whether it's live or we share. And also continue to keep the suggestions going. Brandon, can I inform them on the suggestion we got for next time that we may even do as a series? Or you wanna just hold on till we like put a little announcement out there?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, we're gonna hold on. It's some good stuff though, yeah. So y'all stay tuned, man, and we'll be versatile with it. We'll do it like this sometimes where we record and share it, and then also we'll still have going live as part of it too. So thank y'all so much, man. Continue to grow, unlearn, relearn. Brandon, anything you want to add?
Uh, no, that's it, man. Unlearn and relearn,
Awesome,
and
awesome.
and learn to love unconditionally. Uh,
That's big.
the Bible too. Unconditional love means there's no condition that exists that should stop me
Mm,
from having the feeling of love come out of my heart.
wow. Whew. That's big. All right, people. Nothing to add. Peace, y'all. Take care.